Welcome to all of you. It's really nice to speak about AI and how financial services and insurance industry like has been adopting AI for quite a long time, and now would be great to speak about like what you have been doing before, what is changed right now with Gen AI, and also would like to cover like you as a company, but also you as an individual person working within like a very much changing competitive space. So I'm Arne or Arnie to those that are in the UK, and I'm one of the partners of BOI, and Juju is calling in as well as an associate director calling in from New York. So you might know us as BOI, potentially as Board of Innovation. So we have always been an agency focused on innovation, business model innovation, innovation strategy. And now since about 5 years, we have been focusing on AI strategy and developing custom AI solutions as well, which go from agentic commerce to consumer insights and so forth. So there is definitely like very often a consumer angle to it. What we're talking about today is, first of all, we'll share some foundational perspectives about AI. These are the same as the ones that you might have seen in other webinars. We tend to have a perspective and we don't change it every day. So there, it's a perspective. You might disagree. If you do so, feel free to share. Then we'll make the step towards banking and insurance. So what is happening already? What do we expect to happen? So having a good conversation there. And then we're going a step that we take a step towards you and the company. So where do you start if you want to be more competitive because of AI or leveraging AI? And there is different levels there from company to your team to you as an individual. Or that's at least the intent of today's session. So let's start with these perspectives. So if you've seen webinars, we have a big summit every 6 months, which is called Autonomous. So we very much believe in a more autonomous future. And when it comes to banking, every bank has gone from analog to digital, and many are still going through that digital transformation. While the next big wave is autonomous, and this entire webinar is about what exactly that means. Imagine yourself, for example, like having virtual assistants, you as an individual, but also as a company, an entire army of agents. Same time, there is many products that are becoming autonomous. We all know the different levels of autonomous driving. So these same levels of autonomy will also be applied to other products, other services, and we'll definitely see autonomous agents making payments for us, for example. In the same time, I'm a designer by education, so I'm being very much amazed by UX interfaces being designed by AI solutions, and it really allows, I would say, for example, software solutions to adopt to the segment of one, and really say features are not going to roll out to the entire customer base, but to individual personas, I would say, like people, and potentially also being developed for individuals. So that is super exciting. And then there is the famous quote of Sam Altman that in the next couple of years that we will have one-person unicorns. So businesses are also definitely trying to be autonomous businesses. Then I think there is a lot of people that don't really know what is coming, and I'm definitely part of those people. Nobody really knows. But it's a big transformation, and for me, for us, it's super exciting. Especially if you look to the past, there is a lot of change that is coming, and it has always made things better, in our opinion. So, for example, the moment steam combustion and railways came up, that triggered some other things, such as, for example, standardization of time. Not many people realized that time was also introduced to make sure that to know when the train was coming. And the same with electricity. We wouldn't be able to call. We wouldn't be able to be in very very like in skyscrapers, for example, and the entire infrastructure of cities was possible because of electricity. The same with if you combine the railway and electricity, we really what became possible to move to cities and have agriculture outside of cities and to really be mobile. And then IT is another one. So there, I always forget myself, but 30 years ago, um, internet was not really a thing yet. So we still had to fax, we still had to phone. And then I say we, but I never really experienced it. So I just still know the sound of a fax arriving at home. But that's kind of or the sound of like calling into the internet. So that's really exciting. And right now we see artificial intelligence as one of these transformations. And time will tell what it will really become and which triggers it will evolve or like which elements will come out of it. And we're positive thinkers, so we're very optimistic about this. Then when you see about what companies are doing, what individuals are doing, what we see is that AI adoption, or we believe that AI adoption will come in three waves. The first one is really about doing things faster, doing things cheaper, doing things in a more efficient way. So this is also where most companies are spending their money. That's really about rewriting emails, saying, okay, like I'm not a good copywriter, so like you write something about this, or like write this better. That's what I often use it today, and definitely saves me time. And then the second wave is where output can really be better, where quality is better, where you don't just make processes faster, but that you also have better outcomes. And then in a third step, there is really like new systems transformation, thinking about entire like urbanization, like that electricity, for example, triggered. And yeah, we'd like to start with a poll already. So like the poll here is, if you see these three waves, like where are you spending most time today when it comes to these three waves? And we'll launch the poll.
Yep, I think it's launched. So if you just head to the poll tab, you should be able to see the poll. And we have a couple of votes trickling in. Not surprising, wave 1 and wave 2 are coming in the forefront right now. Arne, now I just hear the sound of dial-up in my ears. That's internet voting sound. All right, so wave 1 is a clear winner, no surprise there.
That would be really interesting to hear, like what what new systems and what transformations you're thinking about for the 6 people that are saying wave 3, but because these are the really interesting ones. So indeed, most wave 1, surprisingly, almost the same amount of wave 2. So I'm very happy to see that we definitely have some pioneers here, because most companies, like 90% of at least the asks that we get as a company is usually focused on wave 1, and we try to pull everyone to wave 2 and wave 3 as well, which is definitely successful for us.
Yeah, so for those of you that put wave 3, I'm also very curious, where are you seeing wave 3? We do see it here and there, and I think, seeing it more increasingly, but love to hear from you all.
Yeah, and then for those that need some examples when it comes to the 3 waves, this is not a new so it's a framework that we came up with, and then we always test it with like, okay, has this also been the same for technologies before? And it is. So if you think about GPS navigation, in the very beginning it was about like just there are maps and they're available and they're updated more often, and you didn't have to buy one every other year, or you didn't have a map and then realizing that highway wasn't on there and so forth. So that was the first. So really like having these up-to-date maps. And then the second step, as we see it, is that we say, actually, you can also say, I want to go there, and you have efficient routing. And if you're lucky, there is, it also has, directly says if there is an accident and reroutes you and so forth. So that's better routing. It's definitely better than having your partner co-piloting you and saying like, yeah, you have to go there, and there is cars stopping. Let's go off the highway and so forth. And then the third one is for example, because Uber had that routing and had GPS location, you could really have location-based services. So started from ride sharing, but now everything is location based when it comes to Uber, and then also delivery services became possible. And yeah, maybe the location where some like the delivery needs to go to might also be moving around, and which might also like delivering cars, and like these kind of new system and new transformation became possible. So these are the three waves to something we all know, and maybe making a small side track towards trust. So now a lot of people don't trust AI, or companies don't trust AI, and it's normal. But if you think back about GPS 20 years back, yeah, not many people trusted that GPS either. And now it's the other way around. I would probably not trust somebody holding a map. And that's likely the same for many of you. And then another link then towards digital payments. So where you say in wave one, the digitalization and like mobile payments. In the beginning, mobile wallets really simplified everyday payments. So for example, Apple Pay, I never have my wallet around anymore. I just pay with my phone, and that's amazing. It makes things more efficient. Then the second thing is, if that payment solution is in your phone, then you might also just pay very, very small amounts way more often. You can have automated subscriptions, and things become way more frictionless. And if you're lucky, you don't even, things can be automatically triggered by, for example, if we worked on a project before on like, what if you're on a bus, it knows you're on the bus, and you just pay per kilometer or per mile traveled with that bus, and you pay right away the moment that you step out of the bus, just like that happens with Uber actually. And then the third step, which is now becoming a reality, is and this is just one of the transformations that we expect, is that AI agents will autonomously and proactively initiate payments to the extent that we might not even realize that we're making a payment, but that we trust the AI agent to that extent that we're also fine with that. Just like if you would give your credit card to your partner and you say, okay, like I trust that you will do the right thing here. So these are three steps, and that third wave might very well be 10 other things. It's just an example. So AI agents, everyone's speaking about AI agents. Many people are using it in different ways, let's say. So I don't want to start a semantic discussion, but when we speak about AI agents, it's more than just a custom GPT. For us, it's really an intelligent system that can reason and act. So if I say act, I'm also not speaking about about GPT, like the deep research from GPT, for example, because it can reason to the extent I'm going to have different actions after each other. When I say act, it's really something external. So it really like goes to a website, looks at different filters, and like does things with information around it. So it goes through 4 steps, collects and thinks about, okay, like this data is what I need, makes the decision, executes, and now learns from that feedback, and then goes back to step 1. And it's these actions that really make it an agent. And that's our definition. And there is a big difference with an agent and a workflow. So a workflow, like in a workflow, you structure the different steps it has to take. And for an agent, it really reasons that you don't really know where it will go before you saw what it did.
All right, so let's talk about agents and give you an example of how we put one into action. We know that they're used in a business context, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but let's take a second to talk about how consumers are increasingly relying on AI tools for their own research. And so I'm sure all of you have started to do the same. Let's give a context in insurance. In a recent study, we know that while 65% of US consumers report feeling good about their current insurance coverage, many use AI to simplify the process. So 36% have started to use AI to help them understand complicated insurance information. Cannot blame them. And 33% use it to compare plans, with 25% relying on it to explain overwhelming coverage terms. So we asked Nanas to conduct some research on our behalf in picking a renter's insurance plan for us. Manus is one of the newest general AI agents that has aptitude in conducting research and doing certain tasks, such as creating itineraries and making websites. I showcased a little use case gallery there. It's different from other LLM capabilities, such as deep research, in that it can truly interact with you and for you on websites, such as search and filtering for specific products. So we have a beta account with Manus, and we asked them to run a hypothetical report on a renter in the East Village of New York with a dog and a piece of jewelry, not based on personal experience at all, that they want to insure on renters insurance. So to evaluate our request, Manus conducted comprehensive research and returned multiple reports, including one on the basics of renters insurance, top providers, before providing and visualizing everything in a final recommendation. So you can see the process of what it looks like on the GIF. On the left-hand side are the prompts, and on the right-hand side it shows you exactly how it's run. In the conversations we're having with clients, we know there's an increasingly level of importance, not just in search engine optimization, but also AI optimization, or AIO, which enables websites to optimize their content to show up more on LLMs. A recent study by Profound, an LLM content visibility platform, shows that in a comparison of searches and prompts, there's only an 8 to 12% overlap between sites selected by search and sites selected by LLMs. So they're just looking for different things and different sites. For example, in a test related to financial services, Profound studies showed that while search engines went for more high authority websites like E-Trade, LLMs opted for more down-to-earth sites like Investopedia. We'll continue to see more of this, and we'll even likely see the first AI agents with the capabilities of making payments for you. So for those consumers that trust it to give such a mandate. Would you opt into using that as a consumer? I'm really curious, so feel free to add your thoughts to the chat, or is that too much for you? On the next slide, let's talk a little bit more. We not only will see businesses using AI tools to supercharge their operations, but also how consumers do business with them, and more importantly, how consumers choose to handle their money. They will expect businesses they work with to use AI. In a recent study, we saw that among consumer expectations around AI use cases, there's really high interest in areas such as consumer service at 15.6%, fraud detection at 22%, and personalized recommendations for savings, investing, and budgeting at 10%. We'll show you some examples of these in a bit. And I'm just taking a look at the chat. Yep. Currently signing up for insurance, not knowing 100% I'm signing up for. I feel you. What we'll see is that the most businesses underestimate more than overestimate the power of AI transformation. Many companies, especially in financial services and insurance, are currently viewing AI just as an incremental improvement, so a way to slightly enhance efficiency or to reduce costs. But the reality is far bigger. AI will have the potential to fundamentally redefine business models, customer interactions, and even entire industries. So underestimating AI's potential means missing out on strategic growth, competitive advantage, and significant value creation. Our message today is don't just think about the small improvements, think transformation. Embrace AI as a strategic imperative, not just another tool.
Maybe to add here, if we often speak to leaders, and we always ask why they ask us to look at AI strategy, for example. And very often there is a long, complex explanation to then, in the end, like the core of the ask comes down to them not wanting to look like a fool in a couple of years by either overestimating it and going like totally wrong direction, or underestimating it and totally losing out on competitiveness. So here, on average, it's more people are more underestimating it. Is what we see.
Absolutely. So just going back to our 3 waves framework that Arne had covered earlier, it provides a strategic roadmap for innovation, ensuring organizations capitalize on immediate opportunities while building towards transformative long-term change. Its principles are universal, applying to technology, business models, digital payments, as Arne introduced earlier. So as you strategize your AI journey, remember that successful transformation requires simultaneous efforts across 3 distinct waves. Just in what investing and seeing success in wave 1 does not guarantee success in wave 3. Also remember that investments in all 3 waves can begin at any time and can run in parallel. So let's talk a little bit about our point of view in AI adoption in FS&I. So we'll dig into this just a little bit deeper. So our slide here highlights key players across the financial services and insurance industries, each leveraging AI to redefine customer experiences and enhance operational efficiency. Most of these improvements focus on wave 1 and wave 2 efficiencies. Some have direct quantitative benefits, such as Visa and MasterCard's AI fraud detection, which helps prevent $40 billion in fraud annually. Others are more about the consumer experience, such as Bank of America's Erica. It's an AI virtual agent. You may have seen this or used this before. It handles routine banking inquiries, such as balancing checks and transaction details, saving millions of service hours and tens of millions in support while enhancing customer experience. So on the next page, let's go a little bit deeper into a couple more examples just to bring this to life a little bit better. So our first example here is Personetics. It's personalized financial coaching and insights, referring back to that survey we talked about earlier, seeing where consumers want support in AI. So the impact here provides real-time personalized advice across both savings and current account products to help consumers avoid fees and boost their savings. It uses customer data to offer tailored financial nudges that seamlessly work both for everyday banking and long-term savings. It helps drive higher engagement by delivering actionable insights right where users need them. In our next example, Kabbage here, they deliver faster credit decisions and processing. It can approve small SME loans in under 10 minutes by pulling data via APIs and using AI-driven credit scoring, cutting processing time from weeks to minutes potentially, and processing billions in loans. Their approach leverages automated data extraction to speed up loan decisions and significantly reduce manual reviews. And the efficiency has enabled them to handle tens of thousands of loans, saving both time and cost. Similarly, we're all familiar with Lemonade. They use AI-powered chatbots and machine learning algorithms to process straightforward claims instantly, setting some claims in as little as 3 seconds. This dramatically reduces administrative costs and greatly improves customer satisfaction. Their ClaimsBot is a standout example of how AI can transform insurance by automating the claims process. Its speed not only cuts costs, but also enhances the overall customer experience. So, question for you all. In the areas that I had described before, which ones do you think AI will be the biggest game changer? So another poll for you. If you just navigate to your poll, and we'll take a look at what the results look like in just a moment. Alrighty. And so if you don't quite remember them, they'll be on the poll overall. So mortgage, current account or checking accounts, loans, credit cards, insurance, etc. I see some votes filtering in right now. Definitely seeing investments, which is not quite surprising, but definitely very interesting as a response. And insurance, definitely seeing that. Mortgage as well coming in, and loans. Definitely seeing that. Also in the chat, curious as to whether you're seeing it more as a consumer level or more in the industry level, if you are in the industry. So feel free to add your thoughts there. Investments is definitely the clearer winner here. And so, yeah, that's quite interesting and not surprising at all. Definitely see some of these key players and seeing the efficiencies and AI usage there. So very cool, very interesting.
So I mentioned before that AI is not necessarily new to financial services and insurance. So here in, what is it, 2015 to 2020 or something like that, I've been very intensively working together with ING Bank, a Dutch bank working globally. And just anecdotal, I was sitting on the floor with 200 data analytics / AI experts. So it's definitely not new. So there have been algorithms, there have been definitely ways to make things smarter, but AI is a very big term. And now the last 2 years, Gen AI came to existence. But of course, there have been different steps towards that moment. So let's build up. So first of all, about 20 years ago, we had descriptive analytics, Power BI, creating dashboards to really report all, like give, like cluster all the data and show you the right things in order to make decisions. And yeah, then we had predictive analytics now about 12 years ago that really said, okay, all these variables, which you can use for fraud, for credit scoring, we can really predict on, okay, it's very likely that this will happen or that somebody has that amount of risk. So make your decision on that. So it's already a bit more. Then about 5 years after that, you could really see AI becoming more prescriptive, so giving recommendations, really saying, okay, I'm going to have very, very small, I would say, action already. For example, this account, something is going wrong, seems fraudulent. I'm going to block this account. So it recommends, and it also automates small tasks that just fall in a certain category. Then generative AI, yeah, we all know what happened. So that's 2023 or 2022. You could say, yeah, where we really AI started to create, and create is, of course, everything will be created from books to podcasts to movies to everything is being created with AI, or at least with support of AI these days. Yeah, and then the next step is really that acting. So really saying, for example, banks and insurance companies, they often have this challenging, would say, customer group of SMEs that are just too small to really give all the corporate services, but that, yeah, it's a big group, but they're just too many of small differences. So here with AI, you will definitely be able to lower your threshold to really say, okay, we're going to give more services and better services to smaller companies, because if you can serve individuals and people to would say to serve a segment of one, then you can definitely do so for SMEs. But then the good thing about SMEs is that they often that they can spend more. So this is a very interesting segment that will definitely be super competitive in the coming years. Then Juju was already mentioning Visa. For me, the companies that will be first or are first are the companies with the most data. Well, Visa, MasterCard, the big payment networks, they have been using AI for years. If you think about the neural network that they've been building to say, billions of transactions have to be scored on hundreds of different parameters and attributes. And if you don't do it right away, then fraud will happen. So if you think about it, their clients are often merchants, for example. And if you would have to check all these different payments individually and by a person, that would never be able to be possible. So they're like, that's definitely an OpEx reduction. And if you do it well, and you can really say, okay, we're catching something that seems strange, but we're not really sure, doesn't really fit into a box. And you're right that you can really build trust, and you'll be able to keep these clients with you. So this is for fraud, but this can be applied to many other things as well. And one super inspiring example for me is Upstart. They have an AI-powered lending model, and it's mostly to onboard and give to have an alternative for normal, let's say, credits using a credit score. And their AI really analyzes a lot of data points and then says, okay, I think this is someone that can get a loan or not. And the interesting thing is that they give more approvals, but have less defaults. So that combination would normally not be possible. But it's definitely in that big gray zone, in between a yes and a no, or the ambiguous cases. There it's way better than the algorithms before, which means you can be way faster as well. And for me also, very great is that you can be way more inclusive, because you won't have too much biases in your decision making. And we can have a lot of arguments about like bias in AI, but in the end, it's copying what we people do, and it becomes better and better at avoiding bias. And then, yeah, if you do this well, yeah, obviously, if you give someone a loan that gets no loan like anywhere, yeah, then these people will definitely trust you and yeah, and work with you for a longer time. And when we speak about onboarding, for me, so this is actually this kind of onboarding, someone like giving someone a loan, but onboarding is super key in insurance, in banking, for merchant onboarding and so forth. And if you look for acquirers, for example, merchant onboarding is a big thing, and AI won't solve everything. But the really interesting thing is, if you have a hybrid AI plus human onboarding flow, then you can really say all the low risk consumers or merchants, they just have an instant approval, amazing customer experience. And then the higher risk cases are flagged and then have human review. So they would normally have human review anyways. So now you avoid punishing those with a low risk, and you just give them a very good experience. And for us, like, this is really the holy grail. If you do this well, the hybrid AI plus human, then you're definitely on the winning side of the game. Then to summarize, so there is a couple of things from going from digital to more autonomous. So first of all, 10 years ago, number 26 and Revolut, they really introduced like digital mobile onboarding in a couple of minutes. So that's amazing. Now it's going to be more instant onboarding and way beyond retail banking. And then where Power BI already gave us dashboards, we're really going towards like beyond showing the data, but really saying like, yeah, this is what you should do, and potentially also doing it. And yeah, also we know the chatbots. We also know that chatbots and customer service chatbots, that they sometimes get stuck and that they say, okay, now I refer you to a person. Well, that just becomes better and better and better, and the agent might also really act for you when it understands what the problem is. So bringing this back to you and to you as a company, let's see how we tackle making companies and people more competitive. So first of all, key to understand that AI strategies is not a sum of use cases. So we've been discussing a lot of use cases right now, but it's super important to really say, okay, these are coherent blueprints, and these are our beliefs, and this is what is going to change. This is what is not going to change, and this is why we choose to do exactly this in a very end-to-end and end-to-end way, working towards a certain vision. So there is 4 steps, and these 4 steps are probably also true for any other strategy. So write these down. So there is, first of all, there is certain drivers in the market. So external drivers, where you really want to understand, okay, outside in, what is going to happen, like have a perspective on that, and see like how can we work towards that future. Then you set your ambition, you say, okay, this is what our competitive advantage is going to be, and you set your objectives. You create a roadmap, and in that roadmap, make sure to not only have wave 1s, but also wave 2 and wave 3s. And then you have to see, okay, if we want to do all these things, like which enablers do we have to invest in right now to make this all a reality? And there you often have people, you often have data. There's no such thing as good AI if you give it bad data, and governance and so forth. So these 4 steps we also have in a practical framework, which you can download on our website. So this is very condensed, but it's very good if you just have an hour or 2 hours and you want to discuss with other people or your leadership, saying, okay, like, what is your perspective here? To really important thing, make sure you start outside in, and don't start with what are we as a company. That's usually what happens. Don't forget that a lot of things won't change. So there, people will take insurance. So it's not that will change. People will want to have that reassurance. And then the second thing is, strategy can be either future back and present forward. Really focus on the future back. You will have to balance the present forward that is already happening, because a lot of the companies are saying like, yeah, what can we do right now? The art of the possible. And you want to counterbalance that with future back, saying, okay, in a couple of years, like what do we have to work towards to really transform? Then where do you start? It's pretty straightforward. In the ideal scenario, you have you are the CEO, or you have the entire like buy-in of the entire C-level, so that you can really holistically look at the entire company and right away future-proof your entire operating system. You can really say HR and your operations and your finance department and your customer service, they all work together, share data, and you really think like that. In reality, you're probably not all the CEO of your own company. So say the second best is that you say the mandate I have is for example a function. So you're responsible for marketing, and you say, okay, within my own mandate, I'm going to work as holistic as possible, and I'm really going to say, okay, like how can I create proof points that bring ROI to then, in best case, get the buy-in of the C-level. And then if none of that is true, just start yourself, start with the people around you, start a movement and experiment. And there's really no excuse at the moment anymore. We all have access to GPT. Even if the company doesn't approve, you can definitely try. So in your personal time, it's 25 euros a month. So yeah, really use it and try, because it's definitely going to stay. And then just a reminder, these enablers that I was talking about, AI on itself, like everyone is going to use AI. So if you really want to have a competitive advantage, you will also have to look at the operating model, the people, the governance, the data, and so forth. Otherwise, you will not succeed. And people is super key, especially in financial services. It's very regulated. The chance that AI is going to do everything right away is very small. Governments would simply block it. But if you obviously have an AI supporting people, then it's a totally different ball game. So let's definitely start there. And if you then say, okay, like what are the different steps you go through? Start with making sure that you're familiar with AI. The more familiar your leadership is, the better that is. Then you can rethink your existing domains, be it marketing, be it HR, be it something else, or journeys. So let's say you're responsible for the journey of fetching new customers, making sure that they buy into the solution, onboarding them, and so forth, and really say, like, in this entire journey, what are the different places where we can really leverage AI, be it for efficiencies or to have better services. And then lastly, if you manage to think about totally new business models and new transformative changes, and you can also trigger them yourself and be part of the change, that would be amazing. And it's easy for me to say all this, but it's not going to be that easy. It's definitely never easy. So there is a lot of challenges that are around, and these are just a couple. And I'm super interested in hearing from you what you're seeing around you, and like what the biggest challenge is that you see around you. Is it regulatory compliance? Is it the fact that it's too much? Is it the fact that you're afraid, or people around you are afraid on the impact of jobs? Is it the element of I need to do something now and create ROI, but I should also really invest in the future? Or is it that people around you don't trust AI? It would be really good to get your perspective on this.
Seeing them trickling. So far, it's a pretty even mix, actually, across all of them. So let's give it another moment. Oh, interesting. What's coming up is AI's complexity and rapid progress can be overwhelming. That's a very, very understandable feeling, and building fast versus building right. I think those are the two we're seeing the most. I don't know about you, Arne, in your conversations.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'd say the first one is definitely complexity. So it's very hard to grasp what exactly it's doing and what the potential of it is. Especially there is this effect of like the more you know about it, the more confident you are about what is happening, because it's just so complex and it's impossible to keep track of everything. So I would say accepting that it's here to stay and not not trying to know everything is probably the best way to do. I'll actually, in the meantime, I'll already like share some perspectives on what you can do. So the first one I already covered. Then when it comes to regulatory advancements, they will come, but they will be slow. That's just the way the system works. So work with humans as a hero in the story is our advice. Then impact on jobs. Well, it will definitely have impacts on jobs, but you still have some control on how you organize yourself to collaborate with the AI. So really define, okay, here is where an AI can do a better job, which is often repetitive work, often things that take a lot of time that might not even happen right now because it takes so much time. And in an ideal scenario, you have the AI doing the things that either take a lot of time or that are not very nice to do for people, so that people can really focus on those things that require people to do and that give them a lot of energy. So I know this is an ideal, but that's definitely a good starting point. Well, the building fast vs building right, you'll need to do both. It's as simple as that. And for us, it very much helps to start with a vision and say, okay, like this is the direction we need to go, and then you give people the chance to work in that direction. So it's better than everyone going in all different directions. Make sure that there is a strategy, that there is a vision set out, and then you can give more freedom to also do, like, have people do shorter term things. And when it comes to no trust, well, if something is not trustable, or if you don't trust someone, it often helps to talk about it and to explain how it works and to say why it does things the way it does. And that is just, the more you talk about it, the more you will trust it, and the more you use it, the more you will trust it, or you will know what not to trust it for. And these are some countermeasures, so to say.
Yep, and I think we have about 15 seconds left, so this is a perfect conclusion too.
Yeah. So when it comes to key takeaways, think about the 3 waves, and that most companies focus on the first wave only. Then second, I think I deleted something here. So make sure. Here we go. Make sure to look beyond AI itself to build a competitive advantage. Thinking about the different enablers you have to set up, and then combine early wins with that future vision, and make sure that you keep the people in the center. Would be my advice. And I would say that's where the presentation ends. For those that can stay, want to stay, we can definitely take the time to be here for a bit longer. So if there is any questions, definitely shoot. I see that there is 2 questions already. So
I was thinking about the one around trust level users have with AI agents, and I'd been doing a little bit of research on this myself, and some of the stats I had seen were really interesting. Only 25% in one survey said they trust AI for financial services, but it was higher than the percentage that folks trust it for more medical information, which is 25%. Yet you are seeing more in the news and research. There was that famous article in New York Times last year around ChatGPT outperforming doctors in terms of diagnosing illnesses at 90% versus 74%. So I do think and see that the prevalence of accuracy in terms of AI becoming better and more formalized over time is going to potentially shift consumer perception on trust. But Arne, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, if you agree.
I definitely definitely agree. Yeah, for me, yeah, people should be always in the center. So if you want to create trust, you won't trust a system right away. It's about talking about it to people. Um, and maybe another one from Rob on the tips on future back. You say like you experience lack of imagination, let go of existing ways of working. Not sure if you're talking about yourself or the people around you. But I would say start with seeing what is already happening out there, because it's very unlikely that you are the absolute front runner in your industry. So we already gave a couple of examples, and for example, the upstart for me is very inspiring. So that is, you can already imagine like what could be. And yeah, then the next step is what we call analogy thinking. It might very well be that something is happening in another industry that is less regulated, where things go a bit faster. So what we typically see is that in consumer goods and CPG, things go really fast because customer data is kind of relative. Of course, you don't want to share any payment data, but sales data is not really that regulated, or it's not regulated actually. And then the next step is probably, if you think about banking and insurance, is services. So there, for example, speaking about telco and like media behavior and yeah, so services, and then only comes banking and comes insurance, and then after that usually comes pharma and health, because that's even slower. So they're thinking about like who can you learn from, and how can you make sure that you show that it's already happening, would be my advice.
Okay.
I would say, Chao, how are you handling C-level vision of let's use AI, but not knowing what problems we are actually trying to solve for, rather than creating a problem for AI to solve because organization wants to adopt it? You can go first, Juju. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the midst of many a conversation we've been having, and you know, the bulk of the work, you know, we're really doing. We're working with our C-level clients to really take it from a top-down perspective as well. What are the organizational goals? What are the existing processes, and how do we create a holistic AI strategy and framework? So again, it's not what Arne is saying. It ties back to what Arne is saying. It's not just a sum of use cases and it's in and of itself, but really, how do you take a holistic enterprise-wide strategy? So that requires, you know, really deep understanding of the businesses and the current processes today. At the same time, though, we are also, you know, recognizing that, you know, you have to build fast and you have to build right, right? So we are also working on building a number of POCs to indicate improved value in these sort of niche areas, such as, you know, innovative concepts, the future of, you know, trends in 10 years, competitive resources. And so these are the types of things we're seeing where you can prove value quickly, and build and deploy quickly as well in a matter of a few weeks.
Yeah, and here let's also not forget, if your C-level says just use AI, let's take a step back. You probably won't succeed if you just use AI. AI is still a technology. It's a means to an end. So you first need to make sure you provide value for your customers, be it B2C or B2B, and then AI can help with that. So that's a starting point, but C-level is, or leaders are very much struggling with this. And then the people that have to execute are also very much struggling, because there's many starting points right now. It could be that the CEO said, let's do AI, and that the share price went up because they said, yeah, we are already doing AI, but that's not really the case. And then it's like, okay, now what? Let's do it. It might also be that the entire organization is saying, great, there is a lot of, it's so accessible that we're all doing our own experiments and everyone is running in different directions. Which is also often a starting point that we have, where C-level or leadership needs to solve for like providing direction and providing the enablers to make sure that that not every employee shares their like crown jewel data to competitors and stuff like that, because these cases are happening at the moment. Hope that helps as an answer.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And what you're saying is also true. I mean, it's never too late to start small. Anything like the digital twins, I saw someone made a comment on that, or synthetic personas along that lines, using agents for ideation. We've done a lot of work with just the basics of prompting and agent building overall. So it's, it's never too late to start, and it's never too late to start small.
Yeah, and maybe one comment about pharma. You're very right, and maybe just to end with a comment. Often it's the more, if we go back to our innovation and disruption experience, it's often there where there is most obstacles and most barriers. Yeah, that innovation disruption comes first. The pharma companies, they're not allowed to talk to patients. So where will you see the first digital twins? Where will you see the first digital patients to give feedback to everything? Yeah, that's probably there rather than in a place where you can just provide it to customers and see what is coming back. Well, yeah, thanks everyone. And if there is any other questions, feel free to send them to us. If you feel like you're struggling as a company, then definitely also let us know. We can always set up a call to share a perspective on the specific challenges you have, and we will put the recording online, so you'll have access to it.
Whether it's cloudy or sunny where you are today, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for joining us. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.